Really great to be here this morning with you all in the room and for those joining us online. As Ian said, my name is Erin Walsh and I'm the Director of Built Environment at Connected Places Catapult. So to the task at hand and why we're here today. Well, I think it's very fair to say, the cultivating neighbourhoods that care. We've heard from Ian, we heard from Javier about a partnership working, a collaborative approach, how we can pool our collective insights, our research and our best practice. And I think we're very excited. I certainly am, or that's what I put in the slide out, that I'm very excited at today for that reason exactly. I don't want it to be missed because this is one thing that I definitely see when I look at this. It's the manifesto for change and it's that call for action. And I think this is the choir, isn't it? We are the choir here and it's how can we amplify what we're singing about and how we can reach more partners and impact even further and deeper. And that's again why I'm tremendously excited for today. So as Ian said, we are a strategic partner here today with the Agile Aging Alliance, and thank you very much for that and for other partners as well. And really, when I say partnership working, I think it's everybody that is in this room. I think it's those that we're going to hear from later, and it's also from those that are online. So one of my tasks this morning was to help set the scene. As Ian said, I am taking this from a UK perspective. So let's look at our numbers, okay? So bear with me, it'll click. Yes, all right. So these numbers will be very familiar to some of you and more familiar to some as well. So this is our changing demographics. And I think this is something we're all very much aware of. I am a geographer by background. I like demographics. I also like graphs. This one here to me really takes it home for us, doesn't it? This is from the Office of National Statistics. You can see here where we were in 1996. So if you look on the left, we've got our y-axis. This is our age. Along the x-axis, the horizontal, we have our population here in the UK. So 1966, you can see our demographics. You can see what our population looked like over 50, within the over 50 age group. Then we start to see this shift in 2016 and the shape really starts to change. And we start to see 70 now starting to bulk out and become a demographic, a very larger demographic in itself. And this is unprecedented and we know that. And we know that moving forward, based on our current population and the forecasts, we know by 2066, we will have a higher proportion of people over 65 than we have ever had in the UK. Now, that is absolutely brilliant. I think that's the key takeaway. To me, that's the key takeaway. This is brilliant and this is positive. And this is testament to the work that has been done over decades and centuries in partnership working and advancement in medical technologies, in healthcare, in well-being. We had Javier talk about health and well-being as a driver in city planning. It was the birth of the Planning Act and the Good Home Standards in the UK. And this is really key. What we know from this is, by the end of this decade, 1 in 5 of us will be over the age of 65. And what this is telling us is that by 2050, 1 in 4 of us will be over the age of 65. So that's a quarter of our population. So this is brilliant. And with that, it does bring some challenges for our current infrastructure. So we have an NHS currently that is already doing a superb job, but it now needs to prepare for the future and this future here. We also need to know that our pension infrastructure as well too needs to be looked at and how we move forward with this. So from this opportunity, we got to continue to build on what we've seen in terms of innovation, in terms of healthcare and well-being, and how do we further do that in our placemaking and our communities and our neighborhoods. So the UK is not alone in this. If we look at an international perspective, we're seeing this same trend, and this trend is set to continue. So this here, as you can see, are many countries like the UK. The UK is on the far left there in these diagrams. And the UK, these are those that are equal or higher to the UK in terms of the population percentage over the age of 65. So these are developed nations that too are also facing this great opportunity and also challenge. But by working together like we are today, and by the work that the Agile Aging Alliance has brought together with the ISO and pooling best practice, we need to expedite our lessons and we need to share them wider together. So if we kind of look a little bit more, what does this start to mean in some of our numbers? Well, from a UK perspective, 96% of our over 65 population live in mainstream housing. Now, I know there's many of you here in the room today that actually work in UK housing sector, and you'll know this very well. And most hope to live independently at home for their entire lives. Well, I'm not in the over 65 age category, but I certainly want to live in my own home for my entire life. So I'm definitely part of that, as I'm sure everybody here is. We also have just 1% of over 60s living in tailor-made retirement homes. So very different to the likes of the US market or North America market, where we would see more choice on the market for retirement homes. We don't have that in the UK. So that's an area to be explored and to look at how we also adapt our current homes and our housing stock. There's also huge variability in the needs of our older population. I know we're going to hear later from colleagues to talk about not one size fits all. Absolutely key, and absolutely one of our key things to keep in mind. Also, in the UK, they occupy a very varied housing stock, and one of the oldest housing stocks. So to the point that we heard from UN Habitat about climate resilience, well, there's an opportunity here to think about that with also future-proofing our homes for our aging population. So we need to think about this collectively and holistically, and a systems-based approach to it. On the cost implications, there are worldwide healthcare costs. In the UK, we know that poor quality housing costs the NHS an estimated 2.5 billion per year. Of that number, cold and damp homes contributes to about 1.5 million of it. Again, to that point about climate adaptation and resilience, and thinking about this in a systems-based approach. So these are the numbers that we have here. We're the UK's innovation agency for places, transport and cities. That's what our role is in Connected Places Catapult. So one of our key roles is to understand some of the grand challenges and look at how we can bring innovation and technology to that. So very much from the demand side, so the demand, those that owns the challenges, to the supply side, to the market. So we see this as an opportunity to bring the challenges and the market better together. And that's some of the work we've been doing. And you'll hear from my colleague Clemence later about that, how we're doing it. The point I want to say in this is, of course, it's about how do we take this and how do we work with innovators and SMEs and technologists? How do we make products and services that meet the needs of our communities and our older population and ourselves? So all the time, it's about sharing that and linking it in together. So these are the big numbers that I've just gone through here, right? These are the big numbers. This is the big picture. This is the macro scale. We know it. We see it. It's in our reports. It's online. It's in our headlines. But there are people that sit behind that big picture. And we all know those people. And I think that's a very important thing. And it's something just if I share my experience or my from a personal perspective, this is my experience currently, what I'm living with in a very brilliant, beautiful way. This is my mom-in-law. This is Doreen Hayes. Doreen is 81 years of age this coming January. Doreen just finished working when she was 72. She's now 7 years living with Alzheimer's. And she's not just living with Alzheimer's, she's absolutely thriving with Alzheimer's. It is a very different, but a very fun and exciting time of her life and for us as her family as well. This is Doreen having a picnic about 3 weeks ago on a lovely day in her park in Telford. Sunday, this is just Sunday just gone. My partner was up there for the weekend, prepping Sunday dinner. This is also with the help of her care team. This is her home in the background. She still is living in her own home. But that doesn't just happen. That's about her wider community. That's about the facilities. That's about her family. That's about the innovations that and adaptations we've been able to put into her home to support her to live there. And this is Doreen with her best friend and sidekick. This is Blue, her dog, 14 years, and they go everywhere together. And I share this because we go to the pub on a Sunday and we have a drink, and Blue comes with us. And people in that community, they all experience Alzheimer's, but not all are maybe exposed to it as much or as openly. And part of what we do is we go to our local pub and we go to our local cafe, and people are very welcoming and super accommodating. And I think this is an example of how, by understanding the healthy aging agenda and how we can work together and how communities need to play their role, we can support people to live at home longer. On another one, I know we have Mac here. You came in from Ireland last night. This here is 4 weeks ago. My mom had a fall. That's the lady in the right of this picture here. So her good hand is holding up an ice cream. So if anybody's in South Dublin, I do recommend Teddy's Ice Cream Shop in Dunleary, right? It's definitely a spot. Her good arm is holding up the ice cream. What you can't see is in her left arm is actually in a cast. So she had a fall, she tripped, broke her arm in 2 places, badly hurt her hip and her foot as well. Fortunately, the hip was not broken. What really broke was actually her confidence. That was what really took the toll 4 weeks ago, right? And she's on the road to recovery. But this is also my mom's home. And this is a small cottage. It's 120 years old. It's in South Dublin. It's quite a chocolate box. You go inside, it's like Liberace's last outpost. If it's not gold and shiny and diamante, she does not want it. In that house is a 120-year-old cast iron bathtub. That is not conducive to a broken arm, and also my mom has chronic arthritis. So my mom's image of bathroom adaptation is her mom's bathroom adaptation. And that was green, because that's the hospital colour in Ireland. It is very large grab rails. It is an emergency pull cord, and it is not Liberace. So my mom has resisted and resisted and resisted. And it is only through the likes of the work I know that I do, and this is what I'm thrilled to see within the report, the examples of those more considered adaptations, those products and services that are on the market to provide choice, to provide people like my mom with options not to go that more institutional route, but to think more creatively and how that can be part of her and her personality. And I'm very happy to say that is currently what we're doing underway at the moment in terms of an adaptation on her home. So from the big numbers to the personal picture. So Connected Places Catapult, we're very fortunate in the sense that we get to work with the demand side of the market and the supply side. And we also work with government, academia, and business. So in the Built Environment Directorate, we have a housing innovation program. And one of the things we thought was, right, how can we bring the challenges around healthy aging more to the fore? And we thought the house is the nexus, the home and the neighborhood is the nexus of how we can do that. And this is exactly what we thought when we launched our program back in 2021. Home is where the heart is. And that is very much what we've driven through our program. So we have a Homes for Healthy Aging program. We have 5 test beds currently in the UK. We're working with over 30 partners. We also have 30 SMEs currently trialing and testing technology there. Again, Agile Aging Alliance is one of our partners there. We're going to speak more about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to give you a highlight what that starts to look like. So this here is back in June. This is an image on the left-hand side from Belfast. So our test bed in Belfast is specifically looking at loneliness and isolation. We had 80 people from across Belfast come to our event, and we had 13 SMEs there with their innovations and technologies to trial and test. We had members of the community that hadn't been out of their home in 2 years that had come to this event in the city around isolation and loneliness. So that's an example of that kind of on-the-ground, practical, tangible work that we're leading on. On the right-hand side of the image there, you can see this. This is just late September, so again, only a couple of weeks ago. This is our next 3 test beds that we've just launched with Leeds, Essex, and Brighton and Hove. And we have 17 SMEs there, also about to work with communities. We take a place-based approach. We look at the challenge, and then we look at how we bring the innovations to that challenge, always. So that's just a little bit of a hello, a scene setting, and some insights from my side. So I want to say thank you very much, and to hand back to yourself, Ian.
Fabulous.